Why is the Latinx community so divided, especially in the US? Let's talk about it. Welcome to Anthropology 101. My name is Leslie, and I'm currently a grad student in anthropology. In this series, my goal is to talk about humanity, global topics, and anthropology. I've been wanting to talk about this problem that we have within the Latin community, and it really goes back to our dark colonial times. The Spanish developed a system called La Casta, or the caste system, which put people into racial categories or racial groups. This is what it looked like. So your value depended on your racial makeup. So if you were 100% European, you would be at the top, and then mestizo, and then native, and then mulatto, and 100% African descent. It was disgusting, dehumanizing, and unfortunately, it has evolved into what we call now colorism. Colorism is such a huge issue within our community. And it really means that the lighter you are, the more high you are, the more valuable you are. And the darker, more indigenous, more African that you look, that you are not as beautiful, not as valuable. An example of it is a lot of Hispanic communities think about this concept of mejorar la raza, better the race, which means that if you marry somebody who's lighter complected, your children will be lighter. And there is this obsession with Eurocentrism and Eurocentric beauty and standards in Latin America. That is a fact. It is prevalent in Hispanic media, like telenovelas, for example. There is hatred towards people who are darker complexion in the Hispanic community, unfortunately. Um, if you are more indigenous, if you are more Afro descent, then in the Hispanic community, you are discriminated a lot by your own people. I have been rejected a lot by my own people, and it is because of colorism. It is because our dark colonial times, and we really have to talk about it and understand this. And I believe that by talking about these uncomfortable things and learning about it is what's going to have us have conversations and really understand each other. It is a beautiful thing to live in a diverse world where we all look a little bit different, where we all eat different foods, where we all have our different languages. It is so beautiful to live in a world like that. But unfortunately, it is not appreciated. And we need to make a difference by talking about it, by discussing it, and just having, like I always say, some empathy.
Good morning, good evening, and good afternoon, Africans. Now, let's talk about the Latinas. It's such a sweet name, right? But is it a sweet character? You know, they say it is better to have a good name than gold and silver. That is what once a wise man said that. Once one of the wisest men said that. Now, is gold better than a good name, or is the other way around? Tell me in the comment section.
Racism in the Latino community is absolutely horrendous. When I was a sophomore in high school, I was introduced to this Salvadorian girl by one of my friends. The school that I went to for a short period of time, it was predominantly Black, Hispanic, and Latino, with Hispanic and Latino being the majority. When I first met her, she had long brown hair, big brown eyes, and red rosy cheeks. I took a liking to her. We're heading into winter break and we decided to get to know each other during that time. We talked pretty much every day. We went on a few dates. It was a great experience. During this time, we were sharing so much about each other's culture. She was telling me all about El Salvador and Salvadoran culture, and I was telling her more about Black culture that she didn't know about. Despite our different races and backgrounds and how heavily divided our school was, we still had a good relationship. After winter break, her and I decided that in the future we were going to keep our relationship on the down low. Only close friends will know about our relationship. At the time, I did not understand why we even did this in the first place. Why is it such a problem and a nuisance to keep our relationship a secret from everybody else? What's also strange to me is her family allows her to be in a relationship. However, she also wanted to keep that from her parents as well. Like I said, I didn't understand why, but I went along with it anyway. At this time, this was one of the most healthiest relationships I've ever been in because she genuinely cared about me and my well-being, and the connection was astronomical. A few months that felt like days has passed, and then the worst has finally come. Our relationship has spread it all across the school, and in the beginning, people responded with positive feedback. Until the next day, an abundant amount of Hispanic and Latinos in the community was very displeased and unsatisfied with my relationship with her. She kept getting threats of comments of people saying that she should not be dating a black man. He is black. You should not be dating her. You should be dating an Hispanic man. You should be dating a Latino man. At the time, she did the best she could to fight for me, her, and our relationship. However, in the end, she was suffering from too much mental and emotional pain. Eventually, some people in the Latino community went out of their way to contact her mother to tell her that she is dating a black man. As it turns out, despite her wanting to be in a relationship with me, her family was very racist and discriminative towards black people. Her family was comparing me to black stereotypes, ghetto, hood rat, a thief, made some other comments like black people are beneath us, they are third rate, you shouldn't be stooping so low to date someone like that. Apparently, a lot of the people in the Latino community who showed disinterest in our relationship thought and felt the same way, but more on colorism. My skin complexion was a threat and a problem to them because they did not like me dating another Latina woman. There were some other Latino men who was very jealous of the fact that I was dating someone like her. With all due respect, she is very attractive, especially with the school that we went to. Her and I was forced to break up and we discontinued our relationship. But unfortunately, it gets worse. There was these two Latina men who was very angry of the fact that I was dating her to begin with, and they wanted to fight me. At the time, I lacked combat skills and experience, and these two Latino guys who wanted to fight me were boxers. I was put at a major disadvantage, but despite this, I didn't really have a choice because there was honor and pride on the line. Despite me knowing for an absolute fact that I couldn't win against these two massive boxers, I still showed up anyway. And I fought, I got my ass beat, and I lost. Granted, my Salvadorian girlfriend at the time had no idea about any of this until I told her afterwards. After I went home looking like a complete mess and taking a very honorable ass whooping, I might add, my uncle was there and he said to me, "Did you win?" And I said, "No." And then he said, "Did you learn something from this?" Absolutely. At that moment in time, after taking a very honorable ass whooping, I decided to learn how to fight myself. A year later, I took up Taekwondo, Kung Fu, and boxing. I still do it to this day, but this is just one of those stories that, once again, I faced through a lot of colorism and racism, especially when it comes to my relationships and friendships. And you know what? Despite that relationship ending and getting my ass beat by two intermediate boxers, one thing I can say for sure about myself, at least I wasn't a bitch. But why bring this up now? One is because it's one of the next stories I wanted to share with you, and two, I have been seeing so many stories from so many black women, especially brown and dark-skinned women and men, sharing their experiences of racism and colorism from the Latino and Hispanic communities. And my people being constantly shamed and rejected because of our skin tone, because we are the black people. Being constantly rejected and called ugly and inferior because of our skin tones is absolutely insufferable, and it can cause self-hatred within ourselves. So, to all of my beautiful melanated black people, especially the black women, please understand me. You are God's and Mother Nature's greatest accomplishment and greatest creation. You are the black pearl, the onyx crystal that shines brightly when the sun radiates off of your skin. The way your body touches the sand and the water that slides off of your skin. There is nothing more beautiful than that. From your hair to your eyes and your skin tone to your wisdom and your nurturing, you are the greatest reflection of Mother Nature itself. You are absolutely fruitful, and your potential in love is insurmountable compared to anyone and anything else. Understand me. Do not let anyone destroy your self-love or to strip you away of your blackness. Understand that you are the greatest that has ever lived. You hold values and attributes that even our ancient African goddess themselves has passed on to you. So please understand me when I say this. You are meant to be gods and goddesses. So become one. That's all I have to say on the matter. It's Onyx, and I'll see you next time.
Why am I saying this? I'm saying this because Latinas have chosen to have gold and silver, but having a bad name, right? You see, we have a lot of racial tension, and also we have racism against black people, by the Latinas. Latinas have always had many problems with the black people and even themselves, you know. We have Latinas who are dark-skinned, and if you didn't know, Latina culture is not monolithic like a black culture. It's one of those rare cultures where Latinas is basically people from Mexico, people from Puerto Rico, people from countries such as Honduras, people from countries such as Dominican Republic, Central America, and I think South America, some parts of South America, right? So we can't say that Brazilians are Latinas, no. But we have some Latinas in Brazil. So they are having racial abuse against black people. And that is why I'm making this video. Black people are complaining around the world, and also Latinas are complaining. I want us to listen to some of these complaints. Why are they doing so? And then by the end of the video, I shall get back and I shall share with you my thoughts, where we shall also have a deep critical analysis. Let's dive in.
Tú como negro latino tienes dos problemas. Primero, eres negro, te discriminan por negro. Y segundo, eres latino y te discriminan por latino. Eso es doble minoría.
We've been colonized so poorly that we want to identify with being white so much, not all of us, but many of us, that we look down on dark skin.
For everyone saying that they're gonna sit this one out when it comes to the protests and when it comes to everything that is happening with immigrants right now in the States, because us Latinos majority voted for this, I wanted to touch on a couple of subjects. If you feel that you need to sit this one out, it's your right, completely understood. If you understood that us in the Latino community, we are also upset with the people that voted for this. If you break it down, the people that are being attacked right now, which is majority Mexicans, over 60% of them didn't vote for this. Over half, more than half of Puerto Ricans also didn't vote for this. The Latino breakdown, the majority that did vote for this were Cubans. And if you look at it by state, most states, Latinos did not vote for this. The ones that did were like Texas, Florida, you know, those states were not okay with it either. And I completely understand if you feel the need to sit this one out, I get it. But also, I want to put this into an analogy. If someone is drowning, that is not the time to tell them how they should have learned how to swim beforehand. If someone is drowning, all hands on deck. If you cannot get in the water with them and help them, you can throw a vest. You can put a stick out, pull them in. You don't wait until someone is down to step on them, especially with this community where the ones also being attacked didn't even have a right to vote. So they're not even included in this. All Latinos or majority Latinos voted for this. Again, we are angry as well. We are very angry at the Latinos that did, and we know that this is our fight for the ones that are being allies and for the ones that, again, maybe they're not going out and protesting, but they're sharing resources and they're just being allies. And that's, you know, appreciated, because at the end of the day, what they are doing goes far beyond attacking the Latino community. It goes into they're violating human rights. They're violating the Constitution. They're violating due process. They are weaponizing the military. They are sending in the Marines. They're sending in the National Guard. And again, if we all think that this isn't going to go further and it only affects Latinos, whenever there's a protest in the future for any given reason, now they have precedent to weaponize our military against its citizens. It's just something to put it into context. And that's just something I wanted to address. I don't think this is the time to turn on one another. But again, I respect everyone's choice. And I'm just hoping and praying for the best, honestly.
You know what? I have to remake this video because I need to reiterate. Y'all don't know what the word racism means. Racism and prejudice are not the same thing. And when I say Hispanic people practice racism, this is what I mean. You Hispanic people do not hire black people. And y'all do this on purpose. That is a racist practice. That's what I talk about racism. I live in Los Angeles. Y'all have every job. Y'all have all the jobs. Y'all have jobs everywhere. The bank, the grocery store, customer service. Y'all have jobs everywhere. Insurance. Y'all have the jobs. Because y'all only hire y'all people. I remember being 18 years old. I was in college at CSUN. I wanted to get a job. I went to go get a job in the pavilions in Sherman Oaks. All Hispanic manager. He said, hey, I usually only hire my people. Mind you, this is 2011. Hey, I usually only hire my own people, but I like you, so I'll hire you. They hired another Hispanic girl the same age as me, whatever. I don't think she was in college, but the same age as me. They moved her up to cashier so fast while I was still pushing carts in the bakery. Then I asked him why. He said, oh, because she got a baby. She got this, that, and the other, whatever. I didn't really care because I knew that wasn't going to be my life anyway. I knew I was going to become a therapist, and I just didn't even give a fuck. But that's the thing. Another story. What is this? 2017 or something like that. Las Vegas. My brother worked at the bank. All Hispanics, right? They unlawfully fired him. The only black dude there, right? And my brother is not no fucking YN nigga. My brother is a stand-up guy, and he knows how to go to work. He had to hire a lawyer to fight them, won the law case, got his job back, and then quit on them, and then went to get another job because we petty like that. That is what I mean by racist practices. Come to LA. You know who's in the kitchen? The Hispanics. The Roscoe. You know who's in the Roscoe's Chicken and Waffles? Hispanics. Okay? And then they try to lie and say, oh, it's because Hispanic. They try to say the majority of the population is Hispanic and that's why they have all the jobs, which is not fucking true. Because if it still doesn't, the statistics still don't equal out. Black people do not have no jobs out here. I think the only place black people work is like the airport. And the black people that do work with the Hispanics, you gotta be damn near my color and fucking lighter or biracial. Like, this is not a game. That is what I mean by racist practices, okay? Please read a book and learn how to conceptualize. And even saying that doesn't make any sense because when you are privileged, you have a blind spot. You just can't see it. You can't see it. You cannot see it. So when you Hispanics try to come in my comments and defend yourselves, that's how I know that you are not, you're not smart up here. Y'all want to reconcile without taking accountability, and it doesn't work like that. And don't get in my comments talking about, well, I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about the collective. Stop trying to personalize a sociological issue. Okay? Relax. Y'all stay talking shit. Y'all know y'all do. Don't come up in here playing that ooh, hoopla shit. I'm a real LA bitch. And let me make this clear. I do not believe in ICE and all that shit. I don't fuck with this government. I don't believe in none of that. I'm an Aquarius. I believe in humanity, whatever the fuck, humanitarian for them all. I believe in all that. But I'm also an Aquarius. And I believe in boundaries. I believe in limitations. I believe in preservation. Okay? I think it's amazing that you guys are fighting for your rights. That's amazing. But there's enough of y'all where y'all don't need us. There's enough of y'all where y'all don't need us. Okay?
So you telling me that all those years of watching black people be treated like crap and watching us protest and march and protest and march and yell and scream and protest and march. And while they may not have been shipping our people out of the country, they damn sure were shipping them into prison, modern day enslavement. Okay? So after watching all of that and us finally saying, we're not going out there, these Hispanics and Latinas and Mexicans and all where all they are from, they got out there and they protested and they marched, knowing that it would get no results. But it does serve for entertainment purposes and educational. Let us watch. Let us watch people and let us see that it does not get results. Because they weren't watching clearly.
If you've ever wondered how Delulu people are in the Dominican Republic, let me show you this. A few days ago, one of the biggest newspapers in the country posted this. La periodista afrolatina Inglia Calderón aboga por dar visibilidad a los feminicidios. People in the comments went crazy because of the word afrolatina. ¿Y por qué es que tienen que decir afrolatina? ¿Quieren ustedes ahora traer el complejo afroamericano a Latinoamérica? Les encanta recordarles que son africanos solo porque son pobres. Porque hay que tildarla de afro. Los europeos blancos llegaron a América y les dicen americanos. ¿Por qué no euroamericano? Unfortunately, this is not uncommon for the Dominican Republic because most people are very delulu and in denial of the diversity of the country, to the point where we still have Dominican Yahtzees literally harassing black Dominicans and idolizing Christopher Columbus. We also have white Dominicans making fiestas barriales, dressing up in blackface, mocking poor black people, and to this day, even if most of the country is black, we have never had a black president. How crazy is that? But don't get it wrong, this isn't just a Dominican Republic issue. Frankly, all of Latin America has racist undertones. I mean, just look at what our media looks like. So yeah, tons of people will say that racism is only a United States thing, but the truth is that racism as we know it today was pretty much invented the second that crusty, disgusting, pasty old man Christopher Columbus stepped foot in our land.
Hi, my name is Dr. Cruz, and I'm a media studies professor whose research focuses primarily on matters of race. And I received the following question on Instagram about whether or not people in the Latinx community can be considered people of color. The message reads, Dr. Cruz, my wife, who is Chinese American, and I, who am Mexican American, have been having heated arguments regarding whether I can call myself a person of color. Could you please address how the Latinx community can claim both white and non-white monikers and why this is triggering to other peoples of color? Thank you very much. I'm absolutely happy to answer this question. But first, a couple of things to keep in mind. Number one, Latinidad is a complicated subject matter, and I am talking from a perspective of someone who is Latino and also has read scholarship on this issue. That being said, reasonable minds may disagree with what I'm about to say. And number two, I'm not in the business of settling marital disputes, so just understand I'm operating as an educator and not picking a side, all right? So the first thing to consider is, what is the function of a phrase like Latin American and all of its variations like Latino and Latine and all the others, right? The first function of these terms is a matter of pragmatics and geography. They refer to those who have origins within Latin America, that is to say from Mexico down to Chile, as well as the islands associated with the American landmass. These terms also serve an ideological function, as the phrase Latin American has its roots in the second invasion of Mexico by France in the 1860s. At that time, Napoleon III created propaganda that argued that the Mexicans were the Latins of America, just as the French were the Latins of Europe, so don't resist. And now about a century and a half later, these terms are used to refer to the populations of about 2/3 of the American landmass, and it creates this sort of homogenous, monocultural perception of Latin America. And as a side note, this actually kind of gets to why I don't particularly care for these terms. It's not just the Eurocentrism, it's also the perception of a monolithic culture. However, I also recognize that these terms can be used to identify those that have had particular colonial experiences with particular countries, and I think there's value in that. But what does this have to do with Latinas identifying as people of color or white, especially in the eyes of other POC? Well, because these terms are used so broadly to encompass so many different peoples, they include white and non-white folks. These terms aren't meant to be racial identifiers. They are, I would argue, barely functional as ethnic group identifiers. You have people of European descent who've been in Latin America for generations. They're Latine. You have people that are Afro-Latine who have roots in the transatlantic slave trade. You have indigenous Latine who have been detribalized, not to be confused with the indigenous peoples of Latin America who have resisted a Latinidad identity and have preserved their own sense of indigeneity. What further complicates this is that you have people who grow up in Latin American countries that are part of the dominant racial caste who may consider themselves some form of white, who then find out that they're not white by the standards of another country, like if they come to the United States and they're regarded as non-white. So for example, I know a professor who's from Colombia and is a part of the dominant racial caste there, and she likes to say that she thanks the devil for bringing her to the United States so that she could understand the racism that happens in her own country. So what this means is that being Latin American in and of itself doesn't make you white or non-white. In fact, if you understand whiteness as affiliation with a dominant racial caste, depending on where you are, you could be either. We also have to allow for the fact that people are perceived differently. Where I'm from, there are no white people who look like me. And so part of my self-concept is that of a person of color because that's the experience that I've had. And yet you looking at the screen may see me and think, that's just another white guy with a tan. And further complicating that is that if I embrace my Latinidad by doing things like wearing cowboy boots to work, then my non-white status may become a little more clear. So I guess I'll conclude by saying this. Latinidad is a complicated thing that changes and means different things depending on your context. And you should always be mindful of your proximity to whiteness, whether that's in your own self-concept or in the eyes of other people.
Latinos are inherently racist. I can't believe I'm having this conversation again, but I just seen a video of a Cuban girl who is, might I add, white passing as all hell. And yes, I said Cuban, so it's pretty self-explanatory as to why she thinks the way she does, because Cubans are one of the worst. And this is coming from a Latina, so I'm gonna yap and talk my shit, okay? The fact that she thought it was cool to literally broadcast that she says the N-word and she doesn't see the issue with it and that you guys are just crybabies is absolutely insane. Girl, you literally will never understand because the color of your skin lets you into places and spaces that make you feel comfortable. You literally have found proximity to white people, and in that proximity, you became weird. But need I remind people yet again, proximity does not equal whiteness. At the end of every single day, you are still a Latina, even if it doesn't really show. And at the end of every day, they think they should deport you. But you feel like because you came here legally, like, let's not use that word too loosely, that you're one of the privileged ones. When on any given day, a Caucasian person wouldn't be able to tell the difference between you and a Mexican, a Puerto Rican, a Ecuadorian, whatever have you. We are one and the same. But you found this new proximity that makes you feel like you are not. And it's honestly just gross. It's really, really gross. And doing it for clicks and views and just being an overall moron in your stance is just weird. But once again, Cuban from Florida, do I need to say more?
One thing for sure is this: Latinas are experiencing the remnants, or rather they are experiencing the ghosts of colonialism. Because the colonialist came with his own white supremacy. And when he came with his white supremacy, he brought a narrative. And the narrative was, we have two colors. We have black and we have white. If you are black, you are evil. If you are white, you are a saint. You'll go to heaven, right? Because you are white, you'll go to heaven. That is what we were told. We were told the devil is black, Jesus was white. By the way, Jesus was not white. He was also not black. Jesus Christ was like the people of his times. He was a Middle Eastern. Not white like a white person, and also not black like a black person. Somewhere in between. He blends in with all humanity. So if he was around walking and not presenting himself as the Christ, Latinas might as well be racist to the Creator himself, because he's not white. Now, it follows that when the white man came, he brought that. So people have been striving to look like their colonizer, because once you were accepted by the colonizer to be aesthetically appealing, by which you had to be light-skinned, many Latinas, many people were out there rushing to marry white ladies so that their children would have the satisfaction, or rather they will be certified, right, to be called, or rather to get themselves into some positions. Today we are experiencing the same ghosts. It's called having white privilege, right? In some instances it camouflages and it has another name called pretty privilege, right? You have a light-skinned lady, you have a beautiful lady. Your brother having a light-skinned lady, beautiful lady. No, that is not how it goes. Even men are like, oh, they're chasing. No, it's never to be looked at like that. Beauty does not lie with color. Character does not lie with color. What's really important is the value, the internal value of a man. What value do they have other than their beauty? What can they add to the table? Can you just bring something else apart from your skin color? If you can, then it's okay. Black Americans have brought work. Black Americans have brought inventions. Black Americans have brought, they have built things to make America easier. Even for the Latinas to exist in America, it is because of black people's struggles, right? Black people are struggling each day, each night to ensure survival for themselves and to ensure the survival of other people. Whatever is happening right now between the Latinas and the people who are not Latinas and the blacks, it is a thing of colorism. Colorism came from what? Colonialism. Colonialism happened to be done by the whites. So my question is always, if it was the black person who was colonizing people, would people strive to be black, right? Would you strive to be a black person in order to gain favor? I believe so, yes. If the colonizer was a black person or a black community, people would strive to be black. The blacker you are, the more attractive you would be. That is what I believe. But things have turned around, things have changed, yes. Guys, I hope you get value in what I do, and if you do get value, kindly subscribe. I'll surely appreciate, and see you in the next one.